Hello, my name is Cassie Green, and today I'm going to show you how to use Trello, especially if you are an educator. So we know that in our lives as educators, we have so many things that we are trying to juggle and keep track of, and things that we have to do for our bosses, things that we have to do for kids, things that we have to do to meet parents' needs. And Trello is just going to be this really wonderful space to keep track of it and everything, as well as ensure that you are sharing and collaborating with the right people. So today I'm going to talk about how to create a board, how to create a new team, and how to make everything work together. So as you can see, this is kind of the Trello website main homepage, and you always can get to that by clicking this button right here in the middle. And you start out with personal boards. And personal boards are completely private, and no one else that is on your team or that you invite to be on your team can see any of those boards that are personal. And so as you can see here, I added an English 10 PVHS board and an English 9 PVHS board. And so I'm going to show you each of these little things are called boards, hence create a new board. And each of these little guys with the little men looking things over here are the teams. And so the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new team. So I'm going to go down here to create a new team. And in that create a new team, I am going to name it PVHS, just PVHS. And this is where I'm going to share kind of all kinds of different things. So one thing that we might be needing to work on, now granted, just so you know, this is a new school that I'm moving to, so I don't know everything that they use yet. And so I'm just anticipating things that we might need. So I'm going to create a new board, and the board that I'm going to title is going to be Back to School Night. So I'm going to go ahead and create that board. And once you have the board created, you can change the background color so that they don't get mixed up, or you can add a photo to it or things like that. I'll go ahead and make this one orange. Wow, that's really bright. And then on each board, there's going to be lists. And so the list that I want to create one that says to do, and I'll save that. And I want to create another one that says doing. And I'll save that, and then I'm going to create one more that we are going to deem done. So within each of these, we have the card. So on every board, there's a list, and on every list, there's a card. So the card, so this is on our list of to-do things. One of the things that I'm going to say that we might need to do is create a welcome speech. Okay, I'm going to add that. Another thing might be to create a welcome PowerPoint. And then one more thing might be to create a not create anything. We're going to speak to club directors about booths that we might have. Okay, so for each of these cards on the list, this can pop up. And one of the things that you'll see is that you can add members, okay? Currently, I don't have anyone on here because I just started this. But here's where I would add members. So I'd add my team members from school who might be working on speaking to club directors about the booths. So if there's one person that I might want to spearhead that, then I might put that person on and then write them a comment over here and say, hey, can you check this out? Can you talk to the club directors about this? And so they would, every time that you add a member, they get notifications that they've been added to this particular list and card. Something else that you can do is you can create a due date. So let's say I need them to speak to the club directors about the booths by a specific time. So over here, I would decide, let's say we wanted it this day. and at this time, and I would save it. And so they have this due date right here, and this due date will tell them, we'll send them reminders saying like, hey, this is due, this is coming up, make sure that you get this taken care of. And then also, let's say a bunch of us wanted to collaborate on speaking to club directors about booths. We can attach things from our computer. We can attach things in a Google Drive. So this Google Drive attachment is really special because it gives us the opportunity, if we wanted to start collaborating on the actual document, then we can just create it in Google Drive, and then everyone has access to it. But our point of contact is going to be within Trello. And then you can also attach any link here. And then if I wanted to add a comment or edit the description, okay, so I'll close out of that. And you can see over here that it has added the August 3rd due date. And so now I can, let's say I've spoken to club directors about the booth, or the other person that I added to the team, the other member has, they can go ahead, or they're in the process of doing it, they can go ahead and move it to this doing space. Once they're finished, they can go ahead and move it to done. So it's a really great way to track what's happening on a team, especially if people have different roles and different things that they're taking care of. It's a great place to manage all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my boards. For me personally, I don't like this setup, having to click over here. I really like the main board space where I can kind of see everything. Now, if I star something, it moves it up to the very top. So if I want the things that I'm working on right now to be at the very top, I just click the star button. Otherwise, I can unclick it and it'll move it back down. And so I created a new board, this PBHS, but I've also decided that I want to move this new teacher orientation. I don't think I want it under English 10 anymore. I instead want it under just the main PBHS one. So I'm gonna click on it, and then I'm gonna go over here to the right-hand side underneath menu, and I'm gonna click more. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put copy. Nope, that's not. I'm gonna go to settings, and then I'm gonna go to change team. And so I'm gonna change it from this team over here to PBHS. And then I'm gonna click change. And so it's moved it. So if I go back to my main screen, you'll notice it's no longer here under the English 10, and it has moved down to PBHS. Another way that you can ensure that everyone is on the same page and everyone is getting the things that they need. Teachers, you can use it for assessments. So if I were to go into this assessments period 1, I can create different, on each list, I can create different groups. Now, I'm not sure at my new school what exactly we're gonna be using to assess kids. I'm sure there is something. And I don't know what the grouping might look like. So I've just created kind of 4 groups. So if I wanted to, and then I can put for this period 1 class, I can put all the names of the people who are in group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. Let's say for Stacy, I clicked her. What I can do in the description is I can put her score in. And then I can add a comment if we retest and she tests kind of still in the same group. I can add that in. I can add the test date. I can add the, and her new score. And it will save it all within this space. One other cool thing is that if I wanted to see in a group that other people were contributing to, I could click this subscribe button, and every time that somebody contributes to the group, it would allow me to see, it would ping me every time or send me a notification every time someone moves something in the group or does something with this card. And so that's a really good way to stay on track of things that you need to make sure get done, so that you can see what people are getting done. Another really cool thing with these groups, so you could use the groups for assessments. You could also use them if you want to split them into like reading groups or things like that. You could add names, and then within here, rather than their score, you could just take notes about how they're doing, things like that. You could also set these up rather than groups, set these up as skills, and then figure out who's working on what skill at what point in time, and then move them as you see fit. Also, if you're using this for the assessments, if students move up in a score, you can just move them to a different card, and now they're in a different group. And it's a really easy way and a great visual to see where kids are at, so you can figure out maybe next steps in your planning or things like that. And that takes me to planning, which makes me very excited. So I created these unit planning for my two different sections that I'll be teaching, an English 10 and an English 9. So for me, when I'm doing planning, I really want to start with the end product and the standard. So I'm actually going to move the standards over. So what end product do I want kids to do? And so I would add all the people on my 10th grade team to this board, and then we would start coming up maybe with ideas for end products. And then that way we can have a place where we're keeping track of it. And then as we decide that it's something that we don't want, we can just delete it. And then standards. What standards do we want to focus on for this unit? And so then once we have all the standards right there, then we can start to visualize what we're using to teach what standards. As far as assessments that are formative, what are the things that we are going to do over time to reach our end product goal and hit all these standards so that kids are really able to access them and we know that they are. And so this is going to be a great place for us to keep track of what those formative assessments are. And it's really great for teachers to be able to add to as well. Like, oh, I came up with this great idea for one of our formative assessments that we could give. Another one is this idea of the texts or the anchors. So we can have our anchor text, which would be our main text, and then supplemental text. So anytime somebody comes across, in our group, comes across something that they're like, oh, this would be great for us to read, they can just add it right in there. And then we all know that that's where we're putting all of our information when we're collaborating. Also the nice thing is that I was able to copy, because I created all of these lists, but I haven't added anything to them. I copied them from this Unit 1 10th grade to my Unit 1 9th grade. So if you click Show Menu and then More, you can copy the board. And if you copy the board, then it just asks you, you can title it, and then it tells you, asks you which team you'd like to send it to. And then you can, so let's say I decided I wanted to copy this board and send it to the PBHS. I can create, let's call it unit planning. So maybe I wanted to share this with my entire staff, how I go through unit planning. So then I could create this board. I'm gonna go back up to my main screen and go down here to unit planning. And it has all the exact same things that I had in my one underneath English 10. It would be a really good way for you to also, with those groupings, to track where students are per class, because there's an app for it. So if you have it, you can get the app on your phone, or if you have iPads, you can have it, and you can just pull it up and you can use that when you're walking around, seeing where kids are at and what they're getting done. You could also create a board where you invite students to be a part of that board, and then they can track their own steps in the process of something that you're doing. That would be another great way. You can link it to your calendar. So let's say, for instance, I put up here my personal boards that I'm training for a half marathon. But what if I create a new board and I wanted to call this weekly to do? Okay, and this board. And so maybe I'm going to create each day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. If I wanted to, I could go over here to this More, and then I can, just kidding, show menu. I'm not sure if I remember where that's at. Okay, so I remembered where it was at. I'm gonna go back to my Unit 1 planning. And so let's say that within this, I have created that kids are going to write an op-ed. I'm gonna click Add. I'm gonna go in here and it's gonna open up my card. And then over here on the side, when I want to use that attachment, I can go to Google Drive. Oh, it's making me sign into my account, but that is one of the ways that you can utilize that. Now this part right here where it says labels, I found another video that really explains the labels well, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one up and I'm gonna play that for you really quick.
Do you ever find that tasks are piling up and you're just not sure what to do next? Add labels to cards to prioritize those tasks and use the board filter to bring the most important cards into view.
So that right there is one way that you can use the labels. I hope that this session has been informational for you and that you are able to figure out how to use it best within your setting and with your team. Thanks.